Well, as Gillberg heads to the ring, King.
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it. I hate this channel.
Hey there, I'm Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso. And the Monday Night Wars, it was really something else. It was like watching two high schoolers with billion-dollar bank accounts constantly just mocking everything the other did. And then there was a third guy who was basically bankrupt, but he was always trying to get in on the action too. I mean, ECW's BWO, their Blue World Order, was a parody of WCW's NWO, the New World Order.
What?
Very, very creatively titled. Very creative. WCW's Oklahoma was a parody of WWF's Jim Ross. Very distasteful. Just very, very, very distasteful. And then WWF's Gillberg was an obvious parody of WCW's Goldberg. Very stupid. Just, I don't, why?
Okay, now let's take it back.
In 1991, Duane Gill was hired by the WWF as a talent enhancement, or just simply speaking, a jobber. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I know some wrestlers get really offended if you call them that, but you have a job. You go in there, you do your job successfully. You do your job so well that people expect you to make other people look good. I don't understand how that's an insult. I went on a tangent there, but that bothers me. If you're a jobber, your job is to make others look good. It says nothing about you in real life. You know wrestling's staged, right? You know it's fixed. You understand this, right? It says nothing about you as a person, just so we're clear. But your reaction to the word jobber says a lot more. I'm just going to be real with you. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just talking about people who view that word a certain way. Makes you seem like very fragile, insecure men. I'm just going to say that. No offense to you. He put over the likes of The Undertaker, Razor Ramon, 1-2-3 Kid, Mr. Perfect, The British Bulldog, Doink the Clown, Tatanka, Adam Bomb, Dino Bravo, Aldo Montoya, and just about everyone else he's ever gotten into the ring with. He left the company in 1994. He'd returned to the company 4 years later in 1998 in a squash match against Mankind.
The mystery opponent, this legend, this charismatic superstar, boasted a one-loss record that set new standards here in the WWF.
He would then later join the Job Squad, a team consisting of what else but jobbers, joining the ranks of Less Cool Scorpio, Al Snow, and a pre-hardcore Hardcore Holly. He notably ended Mark Mero's career during this time after Mark Mero guaranteed that he'd retire if he couldn't beat Duane Gill, which he failed to do. He then followed that up by, shockingly enough, winning the light heavyweight title from a creepy little bastard named Christian. Beginning his new reign as champion, he took the moniker of Gillberg, a very obvious parody of the competition's top star. He'd enter to a pre-recorded track of the crowd chanting Gillberg to his theme song, just like WCW's pre-recorded entrance track when their false crowd chanted Goldberg. I'm sure there was actually people in the audience, though, that decided to join along in those chants, which can never be said for Gillberg. It never once happened. He'd enter with an entourage of stagehands instead of cops, who held up sparklers in place of pyrotechnics. They'd even spray fire extinguishers instead of using fog machines for the entrances. He had a drawn-on dotted line on his arm, aping Goldberg's tribal tattoo, because someone thought that was funny. And he even adopted Goldberg's "Who's next" catchphrase into his own by saying "Who's first?" Now that is good comedy, right? That's good. It's real good, guys. You earned your paychecks. Hell, he'd even compete for the championship and lose to Triple H just like Goldberg did a few years later. He didn't really do anything of note during his run, but it was still the most memorable part of his career nonetheless. He was the longest reigning WWF Light Heavyweight Champion, holding onto the belt for a year and 3 months, before losing it to S.A. Rios.
Obviously, all you know who I am. I am the WWF Light Heavyweight Champion and have been for 15 months.
Say Rios.
Look out! We've got a new... Gillberg doesn't know what hit him. He just got run over by S.A. Rios and Lita.
But the only reason Gill held on to the belt for so long was because he wasn't being booked for TV within that time, which was also meant to parody Goldberg's undefeated streak. Apparently, originally, the whole gimmick was intended for such a parodic payoff, but albeit slightly differently. As opposed to being a reigning champion by absence, they would instead give him a losing streak while champion. Whereas Goldberg had 173 consecutive wins, Gillberg would have had 173 consecutive losses, which probably would have been a more suiting story, but also would have gotten boring very quickly. Imagine going through 173 episodes of Raw to watch the same guy job time and time again. I mean, who is he? Kurt Hawkins? I mean, come on. How long are you gonna do that gimmick? How long? Duane Gill continued to, and still continues to this day, to get work on the indie scene due to this gimmick. So while his time with the company wasn't exactly memorable or stellar, it was at the very least profitable for him. Though I honestly think he could have showed up once as the character and continued to get work based on that. The ECW Zombie only made one appearance with that brand and one appearance with that company, and was able to get work until his dying day off of it. See, the thing is, I do think the gimmick in of itself was memorable. It was. And I understand why he would get work. I just don't think any of the things he did in the company was all that astounding. Sometimes in wrestling, let me give you an example. Sometimes in wrestling, we remember something, but not the wrestling itself. With the APA, we remember them backstage and drinking beers, but we don't really remember the matches they had. Too Cool, we remember them dancing after their matches, but we don't really remember the matches that led into that. And with Duane Gill, with the Gillberg character, we remember Gillberg, but we don't really remember anything he did, because he really didn't do anything all that interesting. Not that this is the guy's fault, I mean, booking had nothing for him, I guess, other than a fake tribal tattoo. He was originally scheduled to make an appearance at the WrestleMania X7 Gimmick Battle Royal, but was cut from that match because officials didn't want the audience to think that Goldberg was coming out. Probably a wise choice. He would, however, return to the WWE in 2003 to join The Rock during one of his concerts while he was feuding with the newly debuted Goldberg at the time.
Your hometown hero, Mr. Bill Goldberg. You're obviously looking very good, man. Damn you.
And let's just say that didn't work out too well for him.
Goldberg is here!
No, you are. You've been making fun of Goldberg for years. He's gonna come out and whip your ass. Ain't no way. The Rock ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. You know that.
Oh, Gillberg now just... Oh, no. Oh, no.
Come on, guys. Way to waste a WrestleMania moment. Goldberg meets Gillberg? Come on! That's gonna put some butts in. That's gonna sell some tickets. He would again return in 2007 for the 15th anniversary of Raw, where he was the first man eliminated in a 15-man battle royal. In 2017, he'd return again, where he was attacked by Kevin Owens, who was of course feuding with who else but a returning Goldberg at the time. No word yet if he's gonna return at the Saudi Super Show. Although actually, now that I'm thinking about this, by the time this video comes out, that show already happened. So maybe he did, who knows? I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. Guys, Gillberg for the Super Show. Most notably, since then, he's feuded and teamed with James Ellsworth on the indie scene. But the less said about him, the better. It's probably better that we didn't talk about him. And that was the career of one Gillberg. And I think what should be really noted here is that there was nothing to be gained with this gimmick. It was all done simply out of spite. This was during a time when million and billion-dollar companies spent a good chunk of their on-screen time mocking their competition or just trying to make them look entirely incompetent. And that is a level of pettiness I aspire to have. A man made an entire career off being a not-so-well-thought-out dig at the competition's big man on campus. You can't make this shit up, only in wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. Gillberg.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You're watching the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso's channel, dude. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole, and you too want to become a V-tard, don't forget to like and subscribe, and click that little bell icon to get updates and notifications. Ooh, tell him what up, Mach. Ooh, yeah. Follow the man on Twitter, yeah, because we all know it's not stalking if it's on the internet, yeah. Join the madness by joining the Discord, and if you have a moment of time and a free dollar to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, dig it, where you can request videos, get exclusive videos, and early access to content, yeah. Or go down to PayPal, where you can buy the shirts, brother. But most importantly, just remember, if you're not tuning in, then you're missing out.